Learn English through story. The Cost of Greed. In a quiet village nestled deep in the mountains, there lived a man named Gerard. He was known for his skill as a wood carver, crafting beautiful furniture and intricate sculptures from the trees that grew in the surrounding forests. Gerard had once been content with his simple life, but over the years, a seed of greed began to take root in his heart. He became obsessed with the idea of wealth and power, believing that they would bring him happiness and respect. One day, while out gathering wood, Gerard came across an ancient oak tree, larger and older than any he had ever seen. Its bark was thick and gnarled, and its branches stretched high into the sky, as if touching the heavens. Gerard felt a strange energy emanating from the tree, as if it held some deep, hidden power. He was overcome with a desire to possess it, to use its wood to create something that would make him rich and famous beyond his wildest dreams. Ignoring the feeling of reverence that the tree inspired, Gerard took his axe and began to chop it down. The tree groaned as the blade bit into its trunk, and the forest seemed to fall silent, as if in mourning. It took Gerard the entire day to fell the mighty oak, and by the time it finally crashed to the ground, the sun was setting. Exhausted but triumphant, Gerard began to carve the wood into a grand throne, one that he imagined would be fit for a king. He worked tirelessly, day and night, pouring all his skill and ambition into the project. As the throne took shape, it became clear that it was unlike anything he had ever made. The wood was rich and dark, and the carvings were so detailed that they seemed almost alive. Gerard was certain that this throne would bring him the wealth and status he craved. However, as Gerard continued to work, strange things began to happen. At night, he heard whispers in the wind, voices that seemed to come from the very wood of the throne. The air in his workshop grew cold, and shadows flickered at the edges of his vision. But Gerard ignored these signs, dismissing them as the result of his exhaustion and overactive imagination. Finally, the throne was complete. It was a masterpiece, the likes of which had never been seen before. Gerard was elated, convinced that his fortune was made. He invited the wealthiest and most powerful people from the surrounding towns to his workshop to see the throne, certain that they would bid vast sums of money for it. On the day of the viewing, the visitors arrived, each one more impressed than the last. They marveled at the throne's craftsmanship, at the lifelike carvings that adorned its surface. But as they drew closer, they began to feel uneasy. There was something about the throne that disturbed them, something they couldn't quite put into words. The whispers that Gerard had heard now seemed to echo in the minds of the visitors as well. Despite their unease, the visitors were eager to purchase the throne, each one offering more money than the last. Gerard's greed flared, and he encouraged them to bid higher and higher. But just as the bidding reached a fever pitch, the ground beneath the workshop began to shake. The air grew thick with the scent of decay, and the once beautiful carvings on the throne twisted and warped, taking on grotesque forms. The visitors screamed in terror as the throne began to crumble before their eyes, the wood splintering and rotting as if it had aged 1,000 years in an instant. The whispers grew louder, now a cacophony of angry voices, accusing Gerard of his greed and hubris. In the midst of the chaos, the great oak tree's stump, still lying in the forest, split open, revealing a hollow filled with bones, the bones of those who had once sought power through the tree's ancient magic, only to be consumed by it. As the throne disintegrated, Gerard fell to his knees, Horrified by what he had done, the wealth and power he had desired had turned to dust before his eyes, and he realized too late the true cost of his greed. The visitors fled the workshop, leaving Gerard alone in the wreckage of his dreams. In the days that followed, Gerard's once thriving business crumbled. The villagers, fearful of the curse that seemed to have befallen him, avoided him and his workshop. The beautiful carvings he had once made now seemed lifeless and dull, as if the magic that had flowed through his hands had vanished. Gerard was left with nothing but his regret and the memory of the great oak tree that he had destroyed. In his despair, Gerard returned to the forest, seeking out the stump of the oak tree. He knelt before it, begging for forgiveness, but the forest remained silent. The whispers were gone, and the air was still. Gerard realized that he could never undo the damage he had caused, that he had lost not just his fortune, but his very soul. From that day on, Gerard abandoned his craft and lived a life of solitude. He spent his days tending to the forest, planting new trees in the hope that one day, the balance he had upset might be restored. But the lesson he had learned was clear: the pursuit of wealth and power at the expense of all else leads only to ruin. And so, the story of Gerard, the once great woodcarver, became a cautionary tale in the village, a reminder of the dangers of greed and the importance of respecting the natural world and the unseen forces that govern it. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoyed, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.